All right, so welcome back. You're still here with us on Ghana's Youth President. We duly appreciate your presence. Remember, the prices have not changed. We still have 20,000 Ghana Cities Project Fund waiting for the best performing cabinet. And of course, 11,000 Ghana Cities for our first Ghana's Youth President. He gets to share that with the rest of the ministers. So of course, when you vote for the best performing minister, they get to walk home with consolation prizes. And so all you have to do is to take note of the code *714*13#. Keep voting for your best performing minister, of course, your best performing cabinet. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have here on our episode today, Presec Legon here with us. Welcome, guys, Odadiers. They're here to also witness what happens here on the floor. And just as I told you, we've not changed our speaker. He still sits at the highest authority and highest seat. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us, Right Honorable Speaker. But there are some people who have 60% they're going to be marking, and they are our judges today. We have from last week again, we still have them today, Mr. Jignesh Viradia. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. And of course, Mr. Michael Annan. Let me start off with you, Mr. Viradia. Issues of education must not be toyed with. What are your expectations?
Education is a growth engine of any country, and it is a growth engine for human mankind. So focusing on specific policies which would enrich the education system and impart proper policies to the young generation who are yet to see the new world.
Thank you very much. Mr. Michael Annan, I have a feeling I'm going to be hearing free SHS and CSE. Would you hear that as well?
I'm sure it will come up.
Right.
But, we expect more than just free SHS. Education lies at the foundation of our development. And so it is a very serious sector in our nation building. Let's hear from our cabinets what they have for us.
Absolutely, what they have for us. Thank you very much, judges. Right Honorable Speaker. Our participating cabinets today are 5 in number: Democrats cabinet, Republic cabinet, or Sajifo cabinet, Yasantura, and of course Gold Coast. They are participating and will be hitting the ground running pretty shortly. So I'm going to be quickly introducing who there is and representing what. On my left, I have Mr. Gao Sapaku from the Democrats cabinet. And on my right here, Republic Cabinet's Akapai, Michael Adombila. Gentlemen, I see you smiling. I take it that we have good news. Do we have good news today, Gao Sapaku?
So much good news.
So much good news. Adombila, are we going to be hearing a lot from you?
Yeah, certainly so.
Very well, certainly so. And this is what we do here on Ghana's Youth President. They have 3 minutes to first of all present to us what their manifesto is, what are their plans, and what they want us to know. And so 3 minutes, I'll give it first of all to Gao Sapaku from the Democrats cabinet. So judges, if you're ready, let's take it away.
Mr. Speaker, I am a boy who started school under a tree at Pandai SDA Primary School. Mr. Speaker, judges of distinction, Article 25 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana puts out the aspirations of the people of Ghana on education, with access and quality as the foundations. Free compulsory universal basic education and free SHS have helped Ghana to rise well in access to education. Nonetheless, quality is still at a very low point. My ministry shall focus on improving quality of education by adopting a 3-pronged policy. First of all, we shall address infrastructure. We shall build science laboratories with ICT and technical workshops as part of those laboratories in every district in this country. We shall also rehabilitate various school facilities in the country. Most of the facilities have been built over 50 years and they are still standing without touches to them. And so we shall rehabilitate them. We shall also make sure that we build new buildings And those buildings will be priority buildings because they will come to check overcrowding and also help to end the double track system of the free SHS. We shall also make sure that we end the human face, we reduce the human face in the computer placement system of the SHS. We have seen a lot of problems that have come with it because there's a lot of human face. Now we are going to reduce the human face and make sure that we bring in elastic softwares that will help make sure that the system is not stressed. 2, teaching and learning materials. We shall make sure that there is enough teaching and learning materials for every school in this country and every school child in this country. Textbooks, exercise books should all be given out to students. Now this will be done on a condition we call collaboration, community collaboration, where even community members can donate exercise books, pens, pencils to students of schools. I have done it before with a group I founded called I Say I Do 8 Group. I have donated exercise books to Bandai DA Primary School on several occasions. 3, teaching and learning related issues. We shall make sure that in this country, quality is a problem because of poor teacher attitudes. We shall make sure that we implement serious and stricter rules and regulations. For example, absenteeism. Most teachers don't go to school, especially those are the rural areas. We shall also make sure that we train more teachers. The ratio, when a research was conducted in 2016, the ratio of teacher to student is 1:30.6. And that is very bad.
All right, and that's very bad, says Mr. Gao Sapaku. Extremely great points there. Quickly, we come back to Republic Cabinet's Akapai Michael Adombila. 3 minutes. Let's hear what you have to say.
Mr. Speaker, panel of judges, as Minister of Education, I would devote my time listening and dialoguing with key stakeholders in order that government vision for education is aligned to the aspiration and needs of all those who are on the front lines in this struggle for quality education for our people. For me to be successful in transforming education in Ghana, I will ensure that the Minister of Education becomes a service center that is strong and responsive to the needs of the key constituents. That is supposed to serve the schools, students, teachers, and principals. Mr. Speaker, the issue of returning missing schools back to the various missions has always been on the card. To this end, I would forge deep and abiding partnership with the religious authorities who have historically played a central role in education. This process of engagement will continue as we seek to build an education system based on the pillars of equity, access, relevance, and quality. Mr. Speaker, I will take bold initiatives to improve access, affordability, and quality education at all levels. Early childhood development. First of all, there will be resourcing, the rehabilitation and construction of KG and teacher training facilities. Again, the school feeding program will be expanded to cover all public basic schools nationwide. Primary and junior high school education. There will be improvement in the special needs education. We'll also enhance ICT education, reintroduce civic education into the curriculum. There's also the need to review the capitation grant upwards and ensure timely release of grants to schools. When it comes to the secondary education, there's a need to adopt measures that will enhance the free education system. And among them are to build additional 200 boarding schools, provide facilities for children with learning disabilities, and to also absorb fees for registration for the WAS for all Ghanaians candidates. There is also the need to pilot the use of electronic textbooks to ensure that students do
All
not
right,
suffer.
time up. Thank you very much, Mr. Kapaya Dombela. Well, will these ideas improve quality of learning and teaching, and of course, inclusive and equitable access and participation? We'll hear from our judges who have the right to question. And so I'll start off quickly with Mr. Michael Annan. Let's start with Mr. Gao Sapaku.
Mr. Gao,
Sir,
you have fine policies and implementation strategies. One of the things you mentioned is the human face. I don't get if you wanted to say human intervention in the ICT system in terms of the school selections,
yes,
right?
yes, that's what I mean.
Okay, so what is basically the issue with the current selection system?
Thank you very much. The system has been there since 2007. I think I was one of the first people to have been placed on the system in 2007. The numbers have increased with enrollment to free SHS. And so doing it has taken another dimension where many of the people will now walk straight to people who are involved at the office to do placements for them. When I say human face as the main problem, one, it is political interference in the system. Many people go there to influence what is done, who is placed where. There should be a system where when you write your WASI and you have chosen schools, there's a criteria that the system should be able to place you by itself. That, oh, you have been placed to, I decided because your qualifications.
So why would you think people would have political influence on the school selection system? If all the schools are equal, is the challenge really about the selection or the equality within our secondary schools?
Thank you very much. The challenge is not only within the system, but the equality within our secondary schools.
I think that is the
And the
main
equality
issue.
comes from preference. I can be placed at Tamasco in Tamale, and I will say I would like to go to Pandai Senior High School.
Why?
Usually, some parents will prefer their children to attend some schools, and then there are also situations where they feel like they want to have their wards closer to them. Because I remember when I was placed in Ghana school, I was told I should attend Pandai Senior High School because I was little.
I see. We'll move to Mr. Jignesh.
In continuation of what you answered, but don't you think that it is a good thing if a regional student gets admission in the nearby school, which cut shorts their expenses, their time, their proper dedication, their closeness to the parents again? Or you still think that a student from Accra should go to North and a student from North should go to Sunyani, and that will still make sense?
Well, if we are to remove the human face, the system will be placing the students based on some criteria. First of all, the choices of the schools. If you are in Pandai, in my village in the north, and you decide to choose a school in Accra, and you are qualified to come to the school in Accra, the system will place you in, because that's where you have chosen and you are qualified. But a situation where you have chosen a school and you are not qualified, the system will have to look for a place to put you. And another criteria will be placing you where it is closer. But at the moment, it is not like that.
Okay. What do you think is the impact of free SHS on the education system in Ghana? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it
is very positive.
in what
because
terms?
I know a young man whom in 2012 came to Accra to become a driver's mate and had this rasta and bushy hair. Today, because of free SHS, he went back to the village to write BEC, and he is in Salaga Senior High School.
On that note, let's move to our next contestant, Akapai Michael Adombila. Let's start off with you, Mr. Viradia, if you're ready.
Okay, what I heard from you, Honorable Minister, is that you emphasized on improving, enhancing, into reviewing, most of adopting measures. But then what are the remedies? You pointed out the issues, you pointed out all the problems in the system. Then what is that you have brought in terms of giving it an effective education policy?
All right, thank you. I think expansion is needed. If you go into the classrooms, about 80 to 100 students are in a class, which is quite bad. Even the desks on which they sit on, they are mono desks, but you find two sitting on them, turning the mono into a dual desk. Then teacher accommodation is also an issue, because we don't build the schools thinking of teachers as well. So teachers get to school late. Sometimes they give excuses for maybe the little change of weather or something of that sort. So most of the time teachers are not in the class, and it affects the quality of education. So if teachers are accommodated within the school or even close by, they would even check students' behavior, and discipline is a hallmark of learning.
How are you going to budget all these things?
Corporate Ghana can help, because if you look at teacher accommodation, for instance, if you are a teacher who spends 10 cedi a day to go to school, that it will cost you 50 Ghana, and then for that matter 200 Ghana a month for transportation alone. But where you live, you pay for utility and other things. But if it is within the school and you collaborate with, for instance, probably a bank that come to build accommodation, then a little is taken from the teacher's salary to cater for this, it will rather help the teacher more and even give the teacher money.
And what is the total budget that you have to do right now to run the education ministry, and then what budget you are allocating for your future expansions?
In fact, the budget is yet not properly put in place because of the consultation with the finance minister.
Smart move there. Well, let's see if Mr. Michael Anna will consult some finance minister as well. Over to you, sir.
Well, Adam Bila, right? I got the name right. Okay. You made mention of the mission schools. In the late 1800s, these mission schools were here, especially the Basel Mission. Their purpose was to preach the gospel, give education to the people to preach the gospel. Don't you think that our needs as a country has changed from their target in terms of bringing back these mission schools?
Thank you. Yeah, it's true that we've gone beyond that, but because of the role they play, and in ensuring that we get quality education, and that moral value that the society needs to move on is also important. So we cannot, because religion itself is education, and we can't separate the religion from the educational front.
I will disagree. If you say we can get proper moral values or discipline only when the missionaries are back or the mission schools are back, I disagree.
I'm not saying only. I'm saying it will contribute towards that direction. Because if today you look at the conduct of our learners today, it is not the best, because
You mentioned early childhood education.
yes, please.
What are your policies towards the early childhood education? And what are the challenges with the current system?
Basically now, the number of teachers that are expected to be at the KG level is not good. And mostly we find people, teachers who are there, and they are even supposed to be attendants in case the child soils him or herself, that person will take, but we find them teaching them who don't have the requisite knowledge. So
Is the early childhood education part of our educational system?
yeah, I think it starts from the KG level. It's part.
How many teachers do we have?
The last time I checked, we have about.
Or you want to consult the finance ministry?
No, this.
Definitely not consulting.
No, please. We have about 800 teachers or so who are in the country, but I'm not sure of the
How many constituencies do we have?
800,000 teachers rather.
Add you. How many zeros you want to add?
Well, I also like what you said about electronic textbooks. Well, I think it is an era we should all be looking at, and a good policy there.
Okay,
It's a good policy there, says the judges. Well, we might have to end the questioning here. We can only do this in a stipulated time. And of course, for those of you at home, remember that your job is simple. As the judges are giving the marks, you would have to vote. The code is *714*13#. Please vote if you think Democrats cabinet Gao Sapako is the man. Please vote. And of course, if you think Republic cabinet's Akapai Michael Adombela is the man, vote *714*13#. We'll take a break here. When we come back, contestants will be ready. But before then, we'll take some water from Belacqua. And of course, I'll adjust my jacket, of course, my vest from Best Buy Boutique. We'll be right back after this break. It's always exciting knowing that the guys are ready to battle on the field of ideas. Judges, if you're ready, let me quickly introduce our next contestants. First, from Osajifo Cabinet on my left, Wali Yeboah. Thank you very much. And of course, from the Yasantua Cabinet, Vamaga Emmanuel. Thank you very much. Guys, are you ready? All right, so we'll start off with Osajifo Cabinet, Wali Yeboah. Judges, if you're ready, take it away, 3 minutes.
Right Honorable Speaker, panel of judges, Osajifo Cabinet believes that education is the most potent weapon to fight poverty and even corruption. Starting from basic education, under the 1992 Constitution, Article 25, all persons shall have the right to equal education and facilities. That is from basic education, primary to secondary school. It shall be made compulsory. Education shall be made compulsory, free, and also accessible. But in reality, that is not the case. In achieving the full realization of the above rights, we are going to complete the elimination of public schools under trees, abolish the inequality in education system, and provide school blocks for every town in every district. Again, all municipalities. Needs assessments will be done in these various districts and also municipalities to identify these infrastructural deficits. Now, reputable companies in these districts, churches, as part of CSR and government through Get Fund will fund these projects. Second cycle education. The free SHS policy is laudable and acceptable, but first we need to recommend how to fund it going forward. But first, we need to do quality assessment. So we are doing what we call quality assurance. The ministry acknowledged the fact that free SHS is decreasing the rates or the quality of education. So we are going to establish what we call Ghana Education Evaluation Institute to perform the regular evaluation of the free SHS program and also publish it. It is very important to have a bipartisan discussion on the program and also have legislation from Parliament to back it. Now, a policy blueprint must be developed through a coordinated strategy for full implementation of the program. Now, some of the recommended funding options for the free SHS program. We are creating an endowment fund to fund the free SHS program. When this is established, it is going to be the permanent and most dedicated source of funding for the program. Again, we are introducing what we call special levy to fund the SHS program, free SHS program. Now, this is going to be backed by legislation to fund the program, rather than the recent suggestion by some individuals that citizens should voluntarily contribute to the program. Again, we are going to bring about a percentage of returns on SNET investments and other pension schemes. The Education Ministry and government will initiate a stakeholder discussion and debate on possible probabilities or channel to just use some of the percentage from these schemes to fund the projects. However, we wish to emphasize that the need for immediate registration of all SHS students on SNET scheme or any other pension scheme with GRA team to ensure that as they enjoy the free SHS today, they would also contribute to other generation in the near future. Now, we are going to use some part of the oil revenue to fund this project because, as we know, currently we are using some part of the oil revenue, but we are going to use part because we can't always rely on the oil revenue to fund this project. Now, another technical education program or technical institutions, this is what we are going to do. We are going to introduce what we call dual career and technical education training system in Ghana, whereby students combine learning in school with learning in workplace settings. Now, this is what we are
Wali,
establishing.
thank you very much. And your 3. Let's see. Yasantua Cabinet Vamega Emmanuel. If you're ready, sir, 3 minutes, take it away.
Right Honorable Speaker, Supreme Judges, Honorable Members of Parliament, viewers at home, and all protocols observed. I'm Mr. Wemega Emmanuel, the Education Minister for the Great Yasantua Cabinet. Mr. Speaker, the importance of education in national development cannot be overemphasized since it is a vital investment for human and economic development influenced majorly by the environment within which it exists. And my ministry aims at making education an avenue where we can create our own opportunities for our own living and not only for the purpose of qualification's sake. Mr. Speaker, we are all aware of the challenges of the education sector, such as poor infrastructure, poor compensation and benefit plans, as well as continuous salary delays for our teachers, lack of technological and ICT tools in schools, WAEC examination leakages and poor gradings, results hold-ons and cancellation, as well as means of funding the system. My ministry has before time put drastic measures in place to curb the situation to prevent them from escalating any further. These measures are building more schools, organized on-job training for teachers at all levels, proper teachers' motivation plans, and many more at aiming at quality education. Mr. Speaker, concerning our syllabus, which was recently reformed, we applaud the ministry for the initiative, since this is one of my greatest visions to revamp vocational and technical education to facilitate to acquisition of applied skills and basic scientific knowledge by making vocational and technical skills a compulsory core subject at all levels. By introducing one student, one laptop policy, this is to equip students to be technologically sufficient. Example is implementing the use of online portals for assignment submissions. Mr. Speaker, my ministry will also make internship and exchange programs available for final year students at the tertiary level, an avenue for students to get exposed to the industry and begin to practice what they have learned in the classroom. Mr. Speaker, my ministry will implement the innovative challenge for all tertiary schools, a platform to battle innovative ideas and in the form of projects and the project group funder for implementation. Also, viable final year students or research works will also be reviewed and their implementations funded by the ministry. That is my ministry. Mr. Speaker, the above measures cannot be achieved if we don't find financial measures to achieve them. Already, the education system is partially funded by donors, and among them can be found World Bank, the United Kingdom, through Departmental for International Development, and the European Union at the moment. My ministry with the entire cabinet has agreed on supporting the ministry with 10% funds from the agri sector, the mining sector, and 15% from the oil and gas sector.
All right, thank you very much. From the Yasantua Cabinet, speedy delivery from both. I only hope our judges have noted them down. Of course, they are most qualified. Let's go quickly to Mr. Michael Annan and start off with Wali Yeboah from Osagyefo for Cabinet.
Mr. Yeboah, good delivery. Anyway, you mentioned basically throughout your delivery, and for you, those who are benefiting today should pay tomorrow.
Yes, please.
How would they pay?
Okay, so I made mention in from the pensions, the returns on SNET investment, because when they start to work, when they are employed after university or other tertiary institution, they will pay SNET. So the SNET invest, they will use their money. The SNET will use their money to invest in other portfolios, because as we talk now, SNET have about 41 investment holdings and also 54 unlisted companies in various sectors, and they are investing in this sector apart from even on the Ghana Stock Exchange. So
do you believe that SNET today is taking care of our pensioners so well that we can afford to also ask SNIT to finance education?
Yes. My reason is most of the workers get it wrong on what they are supposed to get, because people are getting less. For example, people are getting 2,000 Ghana cedis. That is what SNIT is taking, or you contribute your SNIT from the 2,000. But people are also getting additional allowances, and the additional allowances should be made, or SNIT can even take from that part. But we are not doing that. So if you take 2,000,
I trust when you start working, you won't say what you're saying. Anyway, you mentioned again about having students work
yes,
whilst in school
a technical.
to at least get some experience
Yes.
before they go out.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that is being done through your attachments.
Okay. So in reality, 35% of students get even internship to do in Ghana here. 35% get internship to do. Even
Don't you
from first year.
don't you think that the issue then is about Ghana having cycled unemployment is the issue, because there are nowhere to work. So how would this your policy be implemented?
So they are not employed by the company. It is even some people go there to work for free. So I'm coming there to work for free. I'm not expecting you to give me something. At least I want the experience. So allow me. But you go and
The
push
place
your
is
way.
already choked.
It
There is no place for you.
Okay. So I'm not coming for money. Yes, I know the place is choked. At least I want the experience. Allow me.
I say, anything else, Mr. Anand? All right, let's do Mr. Viradia.
All right, Honorable Minister, your delivery was very fast and speed. I tried to catch up what I could. Well, you emphasized on lot of points, lot of subjects, which I got a point where you were emphasizing on quality education, right? So, do we have any existing system which you want to change, or you want to introduce a new system?
Okay. So the system we have now, we know it's basic education is starting from primary to secondary school.
Is there any department or body who is right now monitoring and evaluating what you are saying, or it doesn't exist?
I don't know. I don't have knowledge on that.
Okay. Ghana does have a very uniform and robust system, which is called NACA.
Mhm.
That is National Council for Curriculum Assessment, which monitors, evaluates each and every course, education and system, and has a very strong hold and influence in terms of quality education.
Okay. Okay. We have that system, but can we ask ourselves, is it working? Because we always see,
But you were not aware of the system being
No.
existing in the first place.
that is why I don't have idea about that, but the system is not working. So if it's not working, why don't we bring another system that we will even...
What is the shortfall of this system?
What is the shortfall
Yes, of this system.
of the system in place?
Why you concluded that it is not of quality? What would you want to see and then believe that we have quality education? What?
So as I said, when I initially started, so we from primary to secondary school, it's free for everybody, and it should be accessible to everybody. But in reality, that is not the case. We are seeing in most of the rural areas.
Education can never be free.
And it is free. It's free.
But I
We say
think,
we have free education.
Honorable
So
Minister
from
has a
prim-
lot of influence on Ministry of Finance. Because you have taken monies from oil, you have taken monies from agri, you have taken monies.
From even don't
I see.
10%, 10%, and 15%. That's a lot of money.
Right.
that is why.
Do you
I-
think
we
our
can
budgets can
improve on
support
it.
that?
Let's quickly move on to the next one, if we shall. Mr. Viradia, let's do Mr. Pemega from Yasantewa cabinet, if you're ready, sir.
Okay, great. It was a nice speech. Again, fast delivery. So I could pick few of the things which you emphasized. One was the vocational training that I want to know that what are your plans on that. And again, the same thing that do we have anything which is existing already into the system, which you want to improve?
On my current research, I realized there has been a new curriculum upgrade where it is focusing per reading it through. I realized it was focusing on technical and vocational trainings in school as well. But I also wanted to add up to that policy because...
No, do we have some existing as
yeah,
of now?
It is in it, yeah.
What is it?
Actually, there's the home economics and the pre-technical skills in school, which are drawings. And then probably they are not well enhanced. But my department will make it a compulsory one that after first year, second year, the third year for revision in schools will be where we will make it a compulsory one, where you will need to choose one thing you want to do, being it vocational or technical. So you learn on that, and after that, when you graduate and then you turn up not having good grades and all that, you can actually do your own thing. If you did carpentry in school, if you did catering in school, if whatever what you did in school, you just have to make use of it.
Just to add to what you are saying, we have something called COTWET, which is existing already into the system of education, where we have centers in every region where they teach all the subjects including carpentry, welding, plumbing. So it is already existing since ages. It is nothing new.
That's what I spoke of, enhancing it. It is there, but we are not seeing it.
I see.
I'll make it visible to all. So
It
that
is.
everybody,
We have one of the best facilities that exist in every corner.
But do we see it in our schools?
It will not come to you. You have to go to them.
That is why I'm making it compulsory in the schools. It will be part of the syllabus. You need
That
to
is-
do
that
it.
is
It's
good.
compulsory.
Sure. All right.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, let's do Mr. Michael Anand, sir.
Well, thank you for your correction. So the 10, 10, 15 was coming from you. Okay. How do you intend convincing us all as a nation to invest almost 35% of, I would say, our biggest economic backbone, mining, agri, and then which other sector?
Oil and gas.
Oil and gas. Wow. Okay, so how do you intend convincing us on this?
Convincing you on we using these percentages in funding our educational system. Our education system now, we all think free SHS policy. Our existing political parties bring our policies, I think making them come into power. But as I speak now, we still have challenges. We still have schools under trees where I made researches in the intra-east, where even where students sit is more or less like they are rather being killed. So at this time, our education system is very weak. It's not strong. So with this thing, it will be for some period. When everything is okay, we'll just review it and make things okay.
Isn't it a cheap talk? Everybody keeps saying our educational system is not good. Yet, no one is actually telling us what specific is not good about our educational system.
I spoke about some.
Like,
The poor infrastructure is very weak. Teachers are not being
can we
treated-
compare the infrastructure of today
Uh-huh.
to the early 90s?
The early 90s, when you compare...
And
Okay.
can we compare the quality of students in the early 90s to the quality of students today?
Yes. This is because in the early 90s and now population has increased. So you can't compare now to the early 90s.
So it is access
Yeah.
you are talking about now, not quality.
No, I'm not talking about the access, and access is there. It's something in the constitution that needs to be implemented. But you give the access, what is the quality of it? Is it to go to school and get the qualification?
So what is not quality about our education?
What is not quality about education is that people go to school just to learn.
Is it poor teachers?
It's not, teachers are not being trained well, and they are not being compensated well. So they end up being lazy in school. But if they are being treated well, being paid well, they have on-job trainings. They go for trainings both locally and globally. They end up having to, like, they become equipped to teach more.
Let's do this.
Okay.
Most of our private schools have untrained teachers, right? Yet most of our, I would say 90% of our teachers in the public schools are well trained. And you tell us that they are not trained well.
I didn't say only train well. I spoke about compensation and benefits. When you compare the private sector to the government sector, you can see that they are being treated very well in terms of money.
I disagree again. I think that in terms of payment, right, salary-wise, and even the future of our public teachers are sometimes, or most times, better than our public teachers, our private teachers.
Well, maybe that'll be from your point of view, but from my point of view, I see it to be false.
Again, in your point of view, we have schools like the Ghana International and all those schools, right? How many subjects are they doing in those schools compared to our public schools? Do you take those schools to be giving quality than our public schools?
I would say yes.
Why?
Because when you talk of subjects compared to our public schools, in our public schools, you can realize that once about 3 subjects, one teacher is teaching it. When it goes to the private sector, one subject is to a teacher, and then they have more time to make researches on that to teach the student. When you go to the public sector, 3 subjects, how do you intend one teacher to teach 3 subjects?
I disagree again. There are teachers in those schools taking 3 subjects.
If they take those 3 subjects, those schools, for my example, my school like this, my lecturer takes 2 subjects, and he's being paid on each. But this one, you take the 3 subjects, you are being paid for only 1.
I think that the issue, I believe, with our educational sector is rather not breastfeeding our pupils, but rather allowing them to do more of research at that age. I think that is what is missing in our educational sector, and not what you are saying.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Birmingham. Round of applause. That was a cagey and rather intense one. To him, much is given, much is expected. Once you pour out the ideas in details, the judges are going to scrutinize. Of course, if you are proud of Osajifo Cabinet's Wali Yeboah, of course, go vote. Of course, if you're also proud of Yasantua Cabinet's Ramagan Emmanuel, just do the voting. *714*13#. Let's see if we can get this very intense and cagey encounter when we come back from the break. We'll be right back. So welcome back from that encounter. Remember, our water is proudly sponsored by Belacqua Minerals, and of course, I'm also wearing a vest from Best Buy Boutique in Osu. Well, we have Watara Yahaya on standby for us. He's going to be starting with us. He's from the Gold Coast Cabinet. So judges, if you're ready, let's go straight into action. 3 minutes. Your time starts.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, judges, colleague ministers, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it's no longer news that our education system does not serve the purpose for which it was created. That's why I'm here to provide the medicament to the predicament in the education sector. Yeah, standing here, I feel like a magician because it's only magic that will make a young guy like me use 3 minutes to provide a solution to a 62 years problems. But without withstanding it, I still have the zeal, the vigor, the eagerness, and the can-do spirit to try. Yeah, right Honorable Speaker, our education system is not good, and that's why I'm here with a very simple policy. And my policy goes, we are going to revamp the education system and include what we call Creative Act. If you take Nigeria, for instance, the Creative Art industry employ 90% of the Nigeria industry. But when you come here, we don't even study Creative Act. The acting industry, we don't study Creative Act. And I'm going to make sure that the creative industry is inculcated in the senior high school. So children will start learning act from the kindergarten, primary to the GSS, so that it's not everybody who is going to be an engineer, it's not everybody who is going to be a mathematician. And right from there, we are going to make good use of social media. Social media has become one of the greatest tools. And we don't use it positively because we don't teach it. So we are going to make sure that we inculcate social media in our curricula right from primary, JSS, SS, and children will grow to know how to use social media the way it is and is supposed to be used for our own benefit and the benefit of the country. Thank you. With that, we're saying that I'm also going to make sure that our higher institutions of learning, which has been converted into a certificate issuing institution, are converted back into a creative institution that are going to solve problems of this country. We cannot see ourselves in the lenses and prisons of another race. We have to solve our own problem by providing a solution, a Ghanaian solution to a Ghanaian problem. So we are going to make sure that our higher institutions like agriculture, we say that agriculture is the backbone of our economy, but we are asking ourselves, what do we teach the people in agriculture? If you take China, for instance, China is providing 30% of their fish for aquaculture. Our agriculture, we are not even producing 70% of our maize, and what we produce, we are not even eating it. So we are going to make sure that what we produce are going to be eaten in this country. So I'm saying that agriculture, this in the agriculture's university, we are going to make sure that the agric universities are going to produce this, the food that we need in this country, and we are going to package it. If it is for export, it's for export. It's for conjunction, it's for conjunction. Taking the institution of technical schools like KUNST, we are going to make sure that the furnitures that we need in the schools and we need in offices, Parliament is giving out contract to China to provide furnitures. While we have institutions like KUNST who can provide those Chinas for this country, are we doing that? We are not doing that. I think it's a great fail of leadership. And this is what we should be looking at. And it all boils down to education. Right Honorable Speaker said the other day that our thinking, you can never be greater than what you think. And it is very true. We are going to make sure that students begin to think critically. They begin to think and have the country at heart. If you don't think critically, you can never solve critical problems. And according to a study by Oxford University, they says that the greatest leadership skill currently is creative thinking. And how are we inculcating this into our academy?
Thank you very much. Watara Yahaya, unlike the very detailed one we have being read on paper, this is extempo. Well, quickly, I can see Mr. Anand smiling. I take it that he's ready.
I think you are a typical politician. You emphatically said our educational system is not good. But it has produced you, and I think you are good.
Should I respond to that?
Yes.
Yes. From my context, from what you are saying, it has produced me good, but then I learned most of what I'm saying here on net and as other stuff.
Well, it is that education that pushed you there.
It is the same education that has pushed me where I am, but I think if the education is good enough, it should push me more than where I'm supposed to be, to rock shoulders with the world.
Okay, you mentioned two things. Creative arts. Did you say that 90% of Nigeria industries are employed by creative arts?
Yes.
Or do you want to rephrase that?
What I want to say, okay, to rephrase that, I'm saying that Nollywood employed 90% of the Nigerian population, the youth.
Well, I don't know of that statistics. I'll find out anyway. Then you mentioned of social media. But for you to use social media for education, or for I don't know for what purpose, what is the penetration in terms of internet, access to internet?
Okay, I think Ghana, we are doing well when it comes to access to internet, because I come from rural.
I know of schools who have never seen computer. They saw it on the blackboard.
Yes, and that is also a fail of leadership. And this is one thing that my policy covered, but for the sake of time, I couldn't get the opportunity to read all those.
Anyway, thank you very much, Mr. Michael Aran. Mr. Viradia, our education system is not good according to Watara.
This is one of its kind, Honorable Minister of Education. Very energizing, charismatic speech, bold talks. At the end of the day, he has put his points out, which I think is in line of today's world and today's education system. So keep on going.
Thank you.
Keep on going. Okay, and that's what Ouattara Yahaya from Gold Coast Cabinet has to offer. If you think he's a man to gain votes for his cabinet, then please dial star 714 star 13 hash. After the break, I'm going to be lining them up and we'll hear what the judges have to say as far as their score sheets are concerned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you very much, judges. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Of course, our students from Presec, Legon. Thank you very much for joining us. And of course, the audience in the house. And you at home, it has been an exciting one, but you have to vote. And so if you think Democrats cabinet Gausa Paku is the man, keep voting and vote for the cabinets as well. Republic cabinets, Akapai Michael Adombila, Osajifo cabinet Wali Yeboah, Yasantua cabinet Wemega Emmanuel, and of course Gold Coast cabinet Ouattara Yahaya. A round of applause for all of them. The prizes that are at stake, amazing ones. 20,000 Ghana Cedis Project Fund for the best performing cabinet. Of course, 11,000 Ghana Cedis for the first Ghana Youth President, and he gets to share it amongst his ministers. And of course, there will be consolation prizes as well for the best performing ministers. That's only if you vote to augment the work of the scores from the judges. Remember, our water was sponsored by Belacqua Mineral Water. Of course, my vest today is beautiful. You can put it on anything. It's from Best Buying Boutique right in Osu, just opposite the Chateau Towers, close to the Snitz Specialist Hospital. Our judges have been fantastic, haven't they? Let's put our hands together for them. It's always good to have you. And I can't wait to have these smiles and these brains again on our judging panel. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kokulu Mo, and I'm excited to bring this to you this week. Next week, on this channel, we're going to be bringing you Ghana's youth president. Don't go anywhere. Just lock horns with us on all our social media pages. We'll be right back next week. We'll see you.